We are already 3 weeks into the NBA season, and today I'm going to be ranking my top 7 title contenders. Comment down below who you think is the title favorite and who you would change on this list. At number 7, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. Trading James Harden is obviously never beneficial for your team on the court, but it might have been the best case scenario for Philadelphia in this situation. Tyrese Maxey is playing at an all-star level, and they still obviously have their reigning MVP in Joel Embiid. They sit at second in the conference at the time of their recording, and Maxey has lived up to the hype and more. He's growing as a scorer and a playmaker and has looked great beside Joel Embiid. The two of them look more cohesive than Harden and Embiid ever did last season, and Philly fans are sure to feel optimistic that Maxey is next up as a franchise-altering guard. He's shooting over 40% from 3 and has looked very comfortable playmaking, even though that wasn't his role in the past few seasons. I made a video on how he's breaking out this season and how I do think that he's an NBA superstar in the making. And this team, I think, has a lot of potential to do great things in the NBA playoffs. I just want to see Joel Embiid show up in a second round series and be able to get past that falling point for him, which is the second round of the playoffs. At number 6, we have the Los Angeles Clippers. Having a team with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook would be insane in 2017, and it should still be a Western Conference contender this season as well. However, since James Harden's debut, they have lost 2 straight games and 3 in total, and their offense looks clunky and inefficient. Due to their high-powered individual skill, I have no doubt they will figure things out, and I still hold them as a top 3 to 4 seed in the West with a chance to make a deep playoff run come May and June. This team is far too gifted both offensively and defensively to struggle this heavily for the rest of the season. Them having 3 stars and another quality piece in Westbrook means that even if an injury hits or they feel the need to load manage, that the others will be able to hold up the fort in the meantime. I'm very optimistic that this team will do great things this year, and unlike other super teams that we've seen in the past few years, this team brings both offensive and defensive capabilities, with Kawhi Leonard being a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Paul George being an elite defender, Russell Westbrook being an above-average defender, and even a guy like Ivica Zubac being a plus defender for this team. James Harden may not be a above-average defender, but if he can even play defense at an average rate, this team will be a top defensive team throughout this entire season. At number 5, we have the Phoenix Suns and their big 3 of Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. This big 3 has not yet played a game together, but when healthy, they can compete offensively with anyone in basketball, as all 3 of them are dynamic scorers and can go for 40 on any given night. However, we always knew that health and chemistry will play a factor on this team and how far they will go in the playoffs, and the injury bug has already struck them with 2 of their players. Devin Booker has missed all but 2 games this season, and Bradley Beal just made his season debut against the Bulls, shooting 3 for 12 from the field. They sit at a measly 4-4 record, and they need all 3 to get healthy and become a cohesive unit. When healthy and their chemistry builds, they're up there with the NBA's elite, but they have to get healthy and, more importantly, stay healthy for an extended period of time before that can happen. All 3 of these guys are elite offensively, but past them, I think that they do have a little bit more depth than they had last year, but I still worry that if these guys cannot stay healthy, the rest of their team might not be able to pick up the slack. Kevin Durant has been playing amazing basketball in Booker and Beal's absence, but he cannot do it alone on this team. He's been carrying them, but I would love to see how all 3 of these guys can play when together and healthy on the court. At number 4, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Despite sitting at 5-2, the first 3 weeks of the season might be considered a failure for the Bucks. Dame is shooting 40% from the field and 29% from 3, and against Detroit, despite putting up 34 points, shot poorly from the field and 2 for 12 from 3. I'm sure Giannis and Dame will gel eventually, but the big 3 of Dame, Giannis, and Chris Middleton have not looked like a cohesive unit so far this season. When clicking on all cylinders, this team will be an Eastern Conference contender, but so far they have struggled in games they should not be struggling in, with 2 All-NBA caliber players in their lineup. Before this season, it was them and the Boston Celtics that were really competing for that top spot in the Eastern Conference, and with both teams making big moves in the offseason, it looks like the Celtics have gelled better and more cohesively throughout the first 3 weeks and a bit of the NBA season. So I'm not concerned yet about the Bucks, but if this poor play and poor shooting efficiency continues from Dame, I will start to worry a little bit about their chances in the Eastern Conference in a 7-game series against the loaded Boston Celtics. At number 3, we have the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry is still at the top of his game, averaging 30 points per game and shooting a mind-boggling 47% from three. That's exceptional even from him. Outside of his superstardom, Klay Thompson has hit a game winner and looked solid so far this season. Chris Paul has bounced back from a rough start and is averaging 7 assists a game, and I fully count on Andrew Wiggins to return to all-star status before too long. Even looking at Draymond Green, he's shooting above 40% from three this year and is averaging 10, 6, and 5. This team has played extremely well, even with some key players slumping to start the season. They have the star power and depth to make a deep run in the playoffs this year. When Jordan Poole left the Warriors and they brought in Chris Paul, people were concerned that they wouldn't have enough scoring off the bench, but so far they've played well and had enough scoring from different players and different key contributors throughout their lineup. When Andrew Wiggins can return to his ideal form where he's averaging maybe 18 to 20 points a game instead of the 10 he's averaging right now and shooting better than 15% from three, this team will be even more unstoppable, and I think that they can make a deep run in the Western Conference playoffs this year. A championship is definitely not out of the picture for them, and I think Steph Curry winning his 5th MVP would vault him into at least the top 2 point guards of all time, which he already probably is in, and possibly makes him the greatest point guard of all time. At number 2, we have the Boston Celtics, who are 5-2 through 7 games, and at certain points throughout the early season, they have looked absolutely unstoppable. They have so many scoring options offensively, and on defense there doesn't seem to be a weak link within their top 6 to 7 players. They're quite possibly the deepest team in the entire league, and in the East, I'm not betting against this new and improved Boston Celtics team against anyone. Their 2 offseason additions in Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis look incredible on both ends of the floor and give the Celtics even more firepower than they already had in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They have 4 all-star caliber players, and even guys like Derek White and Al Horford are above average players and starters. They have 6 guys who can start at any time based on matchups, and this gives them flexibility depending on who they play in the playoffs to throw out different lineups and matchups against different teams and play to their own strengths and against the opponent's weaknesses. This team has gelled extremely quickly, and I think that factors in to Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis being good defensive players because they don't have to rely on them solely offensively. So I'm very optimistic with this team going into a 7-game series with anybody in the Eastern Conference. Sitting at number 1, we have the 8-1 Denver Nuggets, who sit with their best record in basketball. Jamal Murray is out for all of November, but coming off a championship last season and playing even without Murray, not to mention having quite possibly the best player in the NBA right now in Nikola Jokic, allows me to put Denver at number 1 with a lot of confidence. Even without Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ, Reggie Jackson, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope have all stepped up at different points throughout the season. Throughout the entire offseason, analysts and fans alike continued to underrate the Nuggets even after a championship and focused more heavily on teams like Boston, Milwaukee, and Phoenix after they all made big trades to better their rosters. Denver remains at the top of the standings to begin the year and at the top of my power rankings as well, 9 games in. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are still my favorite duo to watch in the NBA just because of the chemistry that they obviously have and how much better they play when they're both on the court. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray can play off of each other so well, and that's something that a lot of 2-man star duos cannot do in the NBA right now, and they have to play iso ball. But Jokic and Murray play together so well that I cannot continue to underrate them. Anyways, thank you for watching. God bless you all. I hope you have an amazing day. Let me know what you would change in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by Christmas. God bless.